Let's start.
Yeah. We want John. We want John. We want John. We want John. Here he comes. This is the busiest Democrat in the whole state of California. While you're out to talk about the most loved and busiest Democrat in the whole state of California.
Well, it's great to be with all of you.
You found us.
It was pretty easy to find you. We've been out here a lot, the Democratic ticket. I was out in here in Riverside Friday night. Started off in Palm Springs yesterday morning. I started off in Ontario this morning, went back to downtown, and when they said you guys would still be out here, I wanted to make sure to come back. I wanted to thank you very, very much. Now, we know that all of you are part of, the Democratic ticket winning in 9 days. This is a critical battleground area. We have television commercials in this area. I don't know if you've seen them yet. We have a positive commercial going out. We have a negative going out against Tony, talking about he's behind Jim Brulte. He was the second legislator to take tobacco money, and then he voted against having inspections against retailers to see if they sold cigarettes illegally to minors. I mean, that's some of that terrible policy we see in Sacramento. Now, excuse me one second.
Busy Canada.
I'm running for state controller to take over for Steve Wesley. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the controller's position. The controller continues the work that I do. You sit on the Board of Equalization. You sit on the Franchise Tax Board. You work on important tax policy. Some of you are going to see television ads attacking me very strongly. The Sacramento Bee this morning commented on them. One of them is a company called Intuit. Some of you might buy their products called TurboTax, where you go on and you pay that tax program. Now, I'm as night and day, I am about as different from George Bush as you can get. George Bush and his Republican cronies back in Washington, D.C., they want you to pay to file your taxes. Right? I think that's absolutely ludicrous and ridiculous, and assault on working people in California. Steve Wesley and I have battled over the past few years to make tax filing free. Right, because we know, my first job out of law school was at the Internal Revenue Service. So after working on Capitol Hill for a few members of Congress, including who worked on the House Ways and Means Committee, I sat on the opposite side of an auditor. And facing me was 10 million words in the tax code. Right, exactly what you face. And that's why I'm a Democratic elected official, because I want to make things fair for consumers. I want to make things understandable. I'm going to fight for seniors and disabled and working people. And that's what I've done for the last 10 years. There's 132 state elected officials in this state. There's only one of us who you can walk into Monday through Friday, Saturday and Sunday with appointment, all 7 days actually during tax season, and get free tax help. Right? Because we know those who are working really hard oftentimes can't study the 10 million words in the tax code. Frankly, if you're pretty normal, you wouldn't. You have to be. There's some of us who do because that's our profession, but people have better things to do. They have to take care of their family. They want to do other things. And so that's what I do. I wanted to make sure in my district in South Los Angeles, where 48% of the single women live in poverty, which is absolutely immoral to me, I wanted to make sure that we got them the best assistance possible. So I started women's financial literacy seminars, right? To make sure that we can lift them, get them the best education after they get free tax help, and they might get up to $4,000 with the earned income tax credit, get the money into them so that they can start learning how to invest it, how to plan for their children, how to plan for their retirement. And then my office is also full-time. There's a program in this state called the Homeowners and Renters Assistance Program. Some of you might know about it. If you make less than $37,000, if you're a renter, or a little bit more if you're a homeowner, you can get $370 back, right? And I've had staff members who go out, because all of my staff is tax trained every year, go out and educate community groups about these programs And one person, came up to one of my staff members, Alex's dear friend Ray Cordova. It was a senior Latino who was crying on Ray's shoulders because he needed money that month to make his utility payment. And it was a God find for him because Ray came in and gave him that education. That's who we're talking about. Now, the difference between the Democratic and the Republican ticket is that our governor wanted to reduce that program, right? From instead of going up to $37,000, he wanted to say if you made over $13,000, you no longer qualify for that program. So when you made a choice, when this governor made a choice between oil companies and tobacco companies and working families and those seniors who are in great need, he chose the oil companies and the tobacco companies. And that's why your work over these next 2 days is absolutely critical. Because we've had enough of Bush, but we still have to deal with him for 2 years. It's enough of Arnold. We have to get common sense back into Sacramento, fighting for everybody in this room, fighting for working people. Now, I need to finish my battle. At the Board of Equalization, the districts are drawn 2-2, 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans. And thankfully, for the last couple decades, we had Democrats. Right? What we're going after now, and we have to finish the job, is we're going after the oil companies. ExxonMobil, some of you read the paper, how much did ExxonMobil make this quarter? $10 billion. Alex or Betty said it, right? $10 billion. Right, and they're no on 87. They're against alternative energy because they want to keep making their profits, right? How much did Chevron make? $5 billion. How much did the oil companies make last year? $78 billion. How much did the CEO of ExxonMobil make? $400 million, right? When the price of gasoline this summer was at its highest, to when it started off from its low, Americans were paying $5 billion, let me say it again, $billion a month, just a month, more to pay for gasoline, right? They wanted to take the money from you. That's money you need for health care, and when we have 6 million people without health care or underinsured in terms of health care in this state, we have to make a choice. When we talk about giving tax breaks that I'm talking about stopping at the Board of Equalization and the Franchise Tax Board, we have to make a choice. That's their money or our money from our kids' education. And so the contrast is powerfully clear, whether it's Bill Lockyer as Treasurer, John Garamendi as Lieutenant Governor, Cruz Bustamante as Insurance Commissioner, Deborah Bowen as Secretary of State, our great leader Phil Angelides for Governor, or me for State Controller. We can have a government that fights up and stands for you every single moment. We can have more of the same. So I just wanted to join you and thank you very much. Some of the things I'm going to take on, I'm going to take on. Phil started some of this stuff. I'm going to take on what I just talked about. I'm going to take on excessive executive compensation. We know that working families, especially those represented by labor, we've seen what happened in Michigan, right? The United Auto Workers. Now, they talk about eliminating defined benefit plans because the United Auto Workers. They talk about a whole bunch of these other companies and how these retirement plans, how all these people who worked hard and paid their fair share for the retirement plans are no longer going to get them, right? Because United and all these others are punting their retirement plans to the PBGC, the Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation. And when you look at a lot of these plans, it wasn't the workers who underfunded the plans, it was the executives who are getting tens upon tens of millions of dollars for their salaries, who fly on private corporate jets, who have these ordinarily really expensive lunches and dinners that, we can hardly imagine about, right? They buy these big corporate suites for concerts and all these other things, and who don't even put in their own money into their retirement plan. And so these are a lot of the expenses that are driving working people's retirement plans and healthcare plans into the ground. And so I'm going to make sure, and I'm going to agree with these corporations on a lot of this stuff. When they say these corporations are owned by the shareholders, I agree with them. It is time that we take power over these corporations for the best interest of every single person, and not for the executive privilege of the CEO and his few cronies on the management board. So I want you, with every single conversation from here until Election Day, to tell your friends to do the right thing, to do the powerful thing, to embolden themselves, to empower themselves for the future. Because when we elect a Democratic ticket, we have to finish the mission. From sea to shining sea. From sea to shining sea. We have to have this beautiful blue wave that comes across this country, a wave of better education, a wave of better health care, a wave of better transportation, bringing hope and opportunity for every single American, for every single Californian. And so it starts off on the East Coast, right? We take out George Allen out of Virginia, and we elect Senator Webb. We get rid of the senator of Ohio, and then we elect a Democratic governor and senator in Ohio. We get to Montana and Missouri, the two M's, and we pick up more Democratic senators. And as we see that wave occurring, we start to recognize Nancy Pelosi as his next Speaker of the House, Jeremy Reed as his next Senate Majority Leader. But we have to finish that battle, right? Because the shining sea ends in California. And we know what the Republican ticket wants to do, especially my opponent. I said I'm opposed to offshore oil drilling. He's open to that possibility. Can you see that? People from all across this world come to California. They don't come to Santa Monica, to Malibu. Nobody ever dreamed a dream about Malibu vacation and watching oil rigs, right? And he is opposed to alternative energy. He won't finance it. That's the type of bankrupt thinking we have on the other side. So I want all of you to make sure the shining sea ends in California, and that, as Phil Angelisi says, we have a crest here, that all of you, that all of us, are at the very top of that crest. So thank you very much for your extraordinary battle. On November 7th, we're going to celebrate all of our victory. Thank you, Democrats.
Well, it was worth waiting for him. He did a great job. I want to thank you all again for supporting this rally. And we'll wait till he walks out and we'll give him another cheer. But you're all Democrats. Remember that when you go to the polls. And thank you so, so much for helping us and coming out today to show the Republicans we still have a party in Riverside County.
Thank you. Thank you. Stopping the whole time. I was listening to it. I really appreciate it.
Okay, I would like at this moment to briefly go through and acknowledge clubs and organizations that have helped with this rally. We have the San Bernardino County Democratic Central Committee, members of the association and their chair was here today. The San Bernardino Public Employees Association brought in their popcorn machine. You can see their bus out in the parking lot. SEIU Local 1997, thank you, Greg Havens. That's my bud. And the clubs that were involved in this are the Democratic Club of Moreno Valley. Let me tell you, they've been in business 10 years. I'm an idiot, I didn't even know it. But they've done a great job. You guys come out and take a bow right now. I really want you guys to give them